Hey guys, we're back with another episode of the Flexwork Podcast, and I've been dying. I'm just so excited to say this next thing. I think we have the tire king of North America here. Jared, how's it going, man?
I feel like I'm the tire prince, but I'll take it.
It's
pretty good.
Who'd be the king if not you?
I like to say my dad.
Your dad?
Yeah.
Oh, we got to hear the story. I don't know anything about your dad in the tire game.
Yeah. So that's how I got into this space to begin with.
Okay.
My dad started his first tire company in like the 70s. And then he had a bunch of retail stores and had a wholesale company.
What was it called?
It was called, well, back then it was called Plainview Tire.
Plainview Tire.
Yeah.
So were you like the kid rolling around, like hiding in like a stack of tires and like playing hide and go seek? And
Well, no, because I started my first company at 14.
okay.
And then when I got into like later in my high school
Oh wait, don't
life,
tease me. What was the first company?
So I'm ambidextrous, or I could use both hands equally. So my first company
Not
was
something that we'd normally flex on, but okay.
So my first company was selling left-handed products online when I was 14.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Explain that to me. So like left-handed,
Like
rulers?
scissors.
Scissors.
And the
Okay.
notebooks would be like flipped and reversed. Quick dry pens because you'd always smudge on the side of your
So
hand.
it's selling it online.
I was selling online like back in the year, I don't know, 2001 maybe,
What were something like a
2003.
GeoCities website? Like what would you even build at that point? Because eBay was
Yeah.
a thing.
Well, I
can't
couldn't
remember.
I never was one to sleep a lot. So one day I saw an infomercial and it said like build your first company for like $99 or something like that. So
And you're like, take my money.
my dad never wanted to give me an allowance. And he's like, if you want to get a car one day, you got to earn your own money.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to figure it out. So I got that, thing from the infomercial, made a website, started advertising online, taught myself how to do it. And it did pretty good.
That's
for
amazing.
Yeah, for an early teenager. I mean, it did pretty good. And then when I got into my later teens, I wanted to get into the tire industry. My dad didn't want me to get into it.
Okay, wait, we got to go back to the
Okay.
left-handed products. Tell me, what was the first thing you bought with the money you made? Because at that age, there are very specific things we want, like a Sega Genesis, a
No.
PlayStation.
I didn't buy any of that.
You took a girl out with some ice cream.
No. I actually bought a car.
You bought a car.
Yeah, I bought a used 1999 Saab 9.5 turbo.
Whoa. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And what happened to that car?
It died every night at like
Every
yeah,
night?
like
Oh,
every time I drove it, it was
no.
dying. I had to get it towed so many times.
Okay.
Yeah. It had to have been 2004 because I remember the car being like 5 years old. And it was like driven into the ground before I got it.
All right, Jared. So you told me that you drove here today.
Yeah.
And, you live in a downtown city area, so
Yep.
driving isn't, an everyday thing. But what does the tire prince drive when he's coming to Flexwork Studios?
Okay. Well, first, yes, I don't drive every day, but I do a ton of road trips. So I drive around the country to see people I do business with
Okay.
because I like to be in person, right? So I drive constantly. I'm not trying to get out of the question, but what I will tell you is there's a different tire brand and different tire model for every purpose of driving. So,
yeah, of course.
so if
That's
I
common. That's common
Yeah.
knowledge at this point, right?
no, I don't think so. Because
I mean-
people think, for example, if they like a tire brand, because maybe they do really good marketing, they think that tire brand is good for everything, right? And that's not the case. Everything is catered to what you're using it for. Like I may have, an SUV, and I may be driving, let's say, X amount of miles, but where I'm driving to, how I'm driving, what I want to accomplish with my car is completely different than the other person. And so every brand and model is independent based on what you're doing with the vehicle.
I see. So to draw a parallel, at some restaurants, I might have a Diet Coke, and at different restaurants, a Diet Dr. Pepper, right? Because it changes the quality of the food, right? Or better our taste. Like certain white wines are going to be better with certain foods. And red
I would
wines are
actually compare it a little bit differently.
better. How
So
would you do it?
I mean, this is going like really old school, but like let's take like Mott's apple juice, right?
Okay.
All right. So Mott's is a brand.
Mm-hmm.
One day you may want to have apple juice because that's just like what you're interested in, right? The next day you may want grape juice, but it's the same brand, but the grape juice may not be as good with that brand as it may be on another brand.
I see. Yeah, grape juice and apple juice is a direct jump. That's a good analogy that everyone would understand.
I
for
just
sure.
pulled that out of nowhere.
That's good, man. I mean, we got to update the sales team. They got to start using this in the pitch. So I'm calling you the Tire Prince, and I think people
All
at
right.
home don't know why I'm calling you the Tire Prince. So let's
Yeah.
tell everyone what you do, the
Sure.
name of your company.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the CEO of a company called Tire Agent, formerly Tire Agent Corp. and we operate one of the largest online retailers for tires and wheels. And then we also have a motorsports business as well.
Explain what motorsports means.
Yeah, so we do the tire services, whether it's installing tires or selling tires at racetracks around the country for drift drivers and off-road enthusiasts. So yeah, we do anything that involves, like, I guess competition would make sense.
That must be so much fun.
It is so fun.
So have you been on pit road?
No, so here's the thing. I was never into that category of tires before.
Okay.
What happened was I became friends with this guy, and me and him started talking, and I was like, dude, you have to come work for me, a tire agent. And he's like, I can't, I'm running this business. And I was like, no, we are going to crush it together. So we worked out a deal. We bought the company. We rebranded it as Race Treads. And I got to learn more about motorsports, and because he's a diehard motorsports enthusiast, incredible person, like really knowledgeable. I'm really knowledgeable in like mainstream tires. I'm good on, technical information, product information, the business, but he's good on motorsports, which is a different animal. And I started to go to some of the events around the country, and I was just blown away. The fans are incredible. The drivers are incredible. The skill that's needed is on like a whole nother level. Like, it's truly a sport.
That's amazing, man. One of our business partners is part of the Garg racing family, and for NASCAR. And so I should definitely introduce you to him.
Yeah, of course.
I wonder what type of interesting stories and things will come up in that conversation.
But
Okay.
I will tell you though, the journey to get here was just like crazy. I mean, it's
from where you live to the studio, or in the
That's
business?
it. Well, both. No, the business. I mean, when I started it with my dad, at the age of like 18 or 19 or 17, somewhere around there, and working with him for 13 years, I mean, I would have never thought I'd be in the position I am in today. I mean, it has been a true roller coaster of emotions and accomplishments and failures. And so it's just kind of crazy when people call me like tire king or tire guy, whatever, like it seems like a surreal experience.
Is he still around?
Yeah.
And so what does he think of all this?
Well, at first, when I told him I was raising investment, he's like, "Is this a Ponzi scheme?" And I was like, "What? No." I was like, "Some people actually believe in the idea." But today he's very proud. I mean, he's probably one of my best friends. I mean, my dad and I speak 3 times a day. But what's ironic is when we were working together, we barely ever spoke.
That's funny.
Yeah, because when you're in it, you're fighting with family. You're very close to it. But when you take a step back, and now that I'm older, I'm 38 now, going to be 39 soon. I think back about my time working with my dad, and honestly, it was one of the best memories at that time.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So growing up, you were around tires, but I'm sure you did things for fun, like movies. So I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite racing movie?
Okay, so today when people ask me if I have hobbies, I don't really have hobbies. My hobbies are working.
Okay.
I love it. When I was younger, it was actually the same thing. Like when I did something, I was all in. I did like movies, but my movies are not really like car movies. My movies were more like stupid movies, like Dumb and Dumber, Tommy Boy, Old School. That was more like my speed. What's hilarious is people think I'm like this huge car enthusiast because I'm in the tire industry. I like cars, and I can have definitely an intelligent conversation about it. But my knowledge base is specifically around tires, which is kind of weird because people think it's like it's one and the same. It's really not.
Engines and tires are very different.
Very, very different.
Right.
Very different. Now, I love the SEMA show. I don't know if you've ever been to SEMA.
No.
Okay, it's like the biggest car and tire convention.
Oh, yeah, the convention. Right, yeah, of course.
Like, to me, that's like a kid in a candy store for me. Like, I love it. I could be there for months if it went on that long. I go around the country to all different types of car shows and stuff, but when I'm at car shows, I'm actually not even looking at the cars. I'm looking at the tires.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what's the biggest innovation in tires in the past 20 years?
Well, depends how you want to look at it. If you want to look at it in terms of...
Well, Jared, I give you permission to fully geek out about tires right now because I want to learn. I'm in the market for 4 tires for a Honda Accord hybrid.
All right.
And you don't have to answer what tires I need to get, but I want to learn everything I possibly
can. I would say the biggest transformation I have seen is all-weather tires, which is different than all-season. So all-weather is a category of all-season. All-weather is a hybrid between a winter tire and an all-season tire. It basically, if you live on Long Island, if you live in parts of Jersey, great substitute from doing switchovers from all season to winter, because all weathers can run all year round. They have like roughly around 15 to 30% better traction in the snow.
Wait, so what is all season then?
All season, it's not truly all season. It depends on what tire you're buying.
They're lying to us?
It's not that they're lying. There's a compliance factor based on the amount of separation between the tread blocks.
Okay.
That's all season, right? But a lot of brands that are low-level brands basically just mark things all season just because hit the minimum requirement as an all-season tire. That does not mean it's good in the snow.
Got it.
All weather is more aggressive than a typical. Now, there are regular all-season tires that are still good in light snow, but like me personally, where I can have my choice, I go all weather. But you sacrifice something with going all weather. You sacrifice having a little bit of a noisier tire. You sacrifice not being as comfortable. Like, it can feel as if you're riding on rocks.
Interesting.
But you know you're going to get the grip and the safety, and you know it's going to run all year round, and it's not going to destroy the tread as quick as like a winter tire if you ride it in the hot weather.
Okay.
So that's, I think, probably the best innovation I have seen. But I have seen some pretty good innovation today with all-terrain and rugged terrain tires, which are quieter now than they've ever been. Like, people used to avoid all-terrain tires driving in the suburbs because it was loud and noisy. There are a lot of them that are quiet. So those two things, I think, are probably the biggest innovations that have happened.
So you go to these expos.
All the time.
What do you think is next in the tire industry?
I think there has to be at some point a smart tire.
Oh, what a smart! So like a smart tire would like in an app tell you its tread and like.
I mean, I don't know if it's possible. I'm sure eventually it would be.
Yeah.
But I think at some point we will see treads that can morph based on the touch of the street, like whether they feel snow or whether they feel rain, and it should morph. Now, I don't know if that would be from an app that you press a button and the tread switches, or if it's going to just morph naturally. But at some point, it feels like that has to happen, especially with what we're seeing with AI, right? The only problem is with getting tires involved in AI, there's a lot of ways it can get destroyed, right? Because you're riding on the thing.
Yeah,
So I think it's not going to be AI based. I think it'll be probably like app based, where you have to predict ahead of time the weather and you could change the tread and separation.
Like nanotechnology or something.
Nanotechnology, yeah. And I've seen concept tires that were similar to that at some point.
Okay, so explain this to me. Tires have been made out of rubber for a very long time. Are there differences in the types of rubber that are put in tires? And then the next question is like, why isn't it made out of anything else? Like,
Well, there is.
there's like silicone tires?
Not
and things like
silicone,
that?
but there are airless tires that are
Okay.
in side-by-side vehicles, like, ATV, UTV. I think Michelin has that one. And then there are solid tires that have no air, where they're just complete rubber, but those are more for like forklift and some other stuff. At some point, we're going to see a move, I think, away from rubber at some point. I don't know what it'll be,
Okay.
but I have to imagine
Bamboo.
well, I mean, think about clothing, right? We start off with just cotton. Then we went to polyester because it was cheaper and, it's not as breathable, but there are necessary things,
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
And now we see jeans and shirts made with part spandex in it, right? So why
Yeah.
would we not believe that eventually tires would shift in materials? I'm not saying you get away from rubber completely, but there's probably going to be hybrids involved. I mean, if you look at a tire, it's not actually black when it's made.
What color is a tire?
It's white.
Stop it.
Yeah, it's white. And then
Wait, where does the black color come from?
I'm not 100% sure. I think it's from the carbon that they're mixing into it. Not
Okay.
not every tire. Not every
You're
tire.
talking about the actual rubber itself.
Yeah.
It's processed and whatever.
Right,
it comes
right,
in a
right,
white
right, right.
format. But it's not like how chicken nuggets are really pink. And then like, that pink foam, like, I don't know if you've ever seen that video. It's like this
No,
weird pink
but-
foam and then it comes out as chicken nuggets.
No, but when making a tire, I mean, there's a huge process behind it, right?
Okay.
And you're morphing materials together. And so I'm not 100% on that technical side, but I have heard that it has to do with the carbon that they're mixing into it that then helps the material stay together, basically.
Okay. All right. We're gonna
right,
dive deep
sorry.
into my bucket now. I have a question
Yeah.
that you didn't, I asked you what I couldn't ask, right? So you didn't say that I couldn't ask this
Okay,
one.
go ahead.
So why doesn't Tire Agent have its own brand of tire?
Well, if you look at the market, no brand of tire owns more than about 15% of the market share.
Can you name some of the tire brands? Just
Yeah,
so
you
I
got
know.
Michelin, Goodyear, Cooper, Falcon, Nexen, Kumo, Atsu, Laufen, Pirelli, Continental, Yokohama. I mean, the list goes
And all
on.
of these are available on Tire Agent.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
.com.
Yes, tireagent.com.
Yeah.
So if I were to make a private brand of tires, right, I have to commit to a certain volume. And I don't ever want to push a customer into a tire unless I genuinely believe in it, in the brand. Now, if you have to make a tire, you're talking about millions of dollars for R&D. You're talking about millions of dollars for the mold. Then you have to worry about distribution of it. And for me, I mean, all the work is done by a lot of really great brands. I'd rather work with them. Not saying I wouldn't do it at some point, make my own brand, right? Because if the volume is big enough, then you can justify it.
Yeah.
But I'm very picky. So if I'm ever going to do it, I'm going to be involved in the process along the way. I'm going to make sure that it's safe, that it checks all my boxes that I want to take our customers. It's not something I would take lightly. Like I really want to do like the full in-depth research behind it.
You know, I look at Jeff Bezos with Amazon, and you know he went and found the categories that people were buying the most products of, and now there's Amazon Basics, and there's brands that Amazon owns fully. And so you'll be looking at a certain product, but then Jeff and his team will be like, "No, look at this product instead. It'll be cheaper because we're making it." Similar to the Costco model with Kirkland and a variety of other people who do that. I'm always curious for different industries, what is the barriers of entry to like copy a tire? So like, what would be the minimum order quantity for a tire order?
It's probably around 100,000 units.
Do they sell them in sets of 4? Is 100,000
No.
400,000? Or is it individual tires?
Well, you gave a bad example because I have like PTSD with Amazon Basics.
No. I have PTSD from Jeff Bezos. I mean, the dude sued me because I owned a domain, AMZNGURUS. And I was selling like consulting for Amazon, helping him. Right.
Yeah.
And he sued me. He's like, give me the domain. I was like, nah, not happening, man. I'm keeping the domain, but I shut down the business.
Okay, I can't speak to that level. I just bought like a briefcase from Amazon Basics, like on wheels, and the thing like broke. The zipper.
That's
like,
your PTSD, a bad Amazon purchase?
the zipper.
No.
The zipper like snapped off after like 2 times of purchase. In terms of the tires, you have to be able to produce a big enough quantity that you know you can roll it out regularly. So about 100,000 units probably is what would be needed, and that means you would take units away from something else that I would sell, right? And the brands we're selling, especially what I call top tier 1 and tier 2, that's like your, Pirelli down to like Nexen, Kumo, Hankook, Continental, all the brands
of course.
Right? They've done the R&D. You know the tire is safe. You know the tire is good. You know they stand by their warranties. I don't want to do something that I think I'm going to make a quick buck on just for the sake of doing it.
I can respect that.
I mean, I have sacrificed my own personal bonuses before for the sake of doing the right thing by the business and the customer. So if I'm going to produce my own tire, I'm going to take years of really looking into it. I'm not just going to do it just because I think it's going to make like a quick buck.
What's interesting, I think I told you offline, like I made a little bit of infamy in selling supplements and things like that. The minimum order quantity for supplements is like 500 jars.
Really?
Yeah. Can you imagine being in an industry where like anyone could literally just like with a $10,000 line of credit, just like start their own supplement line?
Yeah, that's not tires.
It's not tires, right? That's good to know. All right. So a lot of industries will have sister companies or like partner agencies. What is your involvement with rims, hubcaps, and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we sell wheels. I mean, it's a good portion of our business. It's not more than tires. Tires are definitely like, the majority by far, but that's because that's my background also. Okay. And also it's my philosophy. Like I like the fact that people come to us because it's a need, not just a want. Like there's a lot of discretionary products out there, right? Yeah. But we sell, people really need it. And we get incredible feedback from customers. So tires in the foreseeable future is probably going to be what our main focus is always going to be. But I could tell you that we sell a lot of wheels. I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands every month of wheels.
So someone orders tires from tireagent.com.
Yeah.
Are they paying for shipping? Because God, it must be so expensive to ship tires.
It is, but we don't charge for shipping. No, it's free.
Oh, it's all included?
It's all included, yeah.
Okay. And that's because you guys buy in such bulk that you guys have like great shipping rates and...
Yeah, I mean, we do, but it was... I did that as a decision because tires are, a bulky purchase. And I wanted to make an experience that was just easy, that people didn't have to worry about different things.
Okay, so I'm in the market to buy tires.
Okay.
Right? And there's probably 100,000 people watching this episode. Do I buy the tires and ship it straight to a mechanic? Do I buy the tires and ship it to my house?
You could do
because I don't even know if 4 tires would fit in my back seat.
Yeah, so you can do either. We have an installation network.
Okay.
But we also have a lot of people that want it shipped to their home. In fact, I would say the majority of people prefer ship to their home over an installer, but we still do a lot of installations every month.
But so the idea of like shipping it to your home is then you would then just like roll up to a mechanic and be like, there's 4 tires in my trunk. Just pop them on for me.
Well, from when I talk to customers, a lot of people have someone that they use that they like and they just want to take it there. I mean, I get obviously, free tires when I need, right? So I had someone ask me, where do you want to ship the tires? And I was like, oh, send it to my apartment.
Okay.
And I just stuck them in my SUV.
Wait. So your apartment complex is getting these 4 giant boxes of tires?
Well, they're not boxes, but yeah, they just get 4 tires.
Oh, right, because you just saran wrap the tire
exactly,
ship it, right? Okay.
Exactly, yeah. So we had it shipped to my building, and then I stuck them in my SUV, and I took them to the car dealership, and I had them do it when they were doing like my oil change.
And okay, so let's talk about that. I don't know if you're comfortable talking about this, but like, do you get your tires changed at the dealer? Not you. Like, do we tell people at home? Like, what is the right way to do this?
There's no right way. I mean, there's different purposes, and I'm not trying to get out of it, but let me explain the different purposes, right?
Yeah, please.
So I personally, when I was in Florida, I took my tires to one of our installers, which is not a dealership, and I had a great experience. And I did that because I felt that like it was close to my parents' home. It was in and out. They were very efficient. They knew what they were doing. Awesome experience.
We got to get you on an episode of like Undercover Boss, where you go to one of these spots, right? And we see what happens.
I thought about it. And I've done that actually with our installers before. Because we have a rigorous thing that we look for. We vet our installers. We make sure that like it's going to give a good experience to the customer. One thing you'll learn about me when it comes to customer service and experience, I am very, very like obsessive over it. Because I always say to myself, would my mom have a good experience ordering? So when it comes to a dealership, if I'm getting something done that I feel like the dealership can handle better than an independent, then I'll take it to the dealership. But if I feel it's like a general thing that really anyone can handle, I'll take it to a shop. And it's only because some things the dealership have an edge on, but in other aspects, an independent shop has an edge on. So it can go either way. You just have to decide on how intricate the issue is.
I guess I just never thought about bringing tires to a dealer and just being like, yeah, throw these on for me.
If you do it for just the tires, they're probably going to, I mean, my experience, this is just my personal experience. They charge a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They charge a lot. If you're going for other reasons and you don't mind paying extra for a convenience factor because you're already there for something else, then that's different.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess the one thing that everyone in modern day rims needs to remember is that the lock, right? The wheel lock.
Yeah.
Because that's probably the biggest problem with the installation network.
We haven't had a lot of issues with that, actually.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, our customers, for the most part, are pretty good. They usually have the key in the car, and then it's pretty simple. The times that has not been done, which is very few, I mean, you can get the lock off. You'll damage the locks if you don't have the key, but you can get it off.
Oh, good. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just always get the dealer to do stuff because I assume they have an extra one floating around or whatever.
Oh, look, I've had good experiences at both scenarios, and I've had bad experiences in both scenarios, right? It's a crapshoot every time. What we try to do at Tire Agent is we try to work with companies that we really value, that have like a clean showroom, a good online reputation. They also have to have the right equipment. If they check those boxes, then I feel comfortable working with them. If they're a fly-by-night that's only been open for like, a couple weeks and no real history on them, probably not interested because I'm not willing to take a chance with my customer base.
Okay, so talking about customer service.
All right.
And I'm big on customer service too, right? When I have people that book the podcast studio or like use any of our marketing services, I like bend over backwards trying to make sure everyone's happy and everyone understands the value of what they're getting. Are there any memorable customer service stories?
Oh, I have a lot.
Okay.
I have a lot.
It goes both ways, right? Clients from hell, and then I don't know, some guy was about to go into a street race and he got his tires just in time and then he won the Grand Prix.
Nothing like that. So I'll tell you more about the emotional ones that have really meant a lot to me.
Okay.
So it was probably, I want to say, our first couple months of opening, and we decided to really lean in on being very customer centric. More because when you go through a transition, right? You start off when you start a company. You have this like high level idea on how you want the business to be, and you're focusing on sales. And a lot of times early on, sometimes the customer service aspect kind of gets forgotten about because you're so focused on sales. And I went through a period where I was like, no, that's not happening here. Like, we're going to focus on the customer. We had a disabled Army veteran order tires from us, and nobody was really giving him, an opportunity to get tires, whether it was talking to him, educating him, or also helping him, get it on a payment plan because he was on a fixed income.
Right.
And we helped him. And I have a philosophy that I don't care whether it's 5 minutes or 2 hours. You take your time with every customer. Doesn't matter to me. This guy wrote the nicest review I have ever seen.
That's amazing.
Thanking us, saying how we helped him when nobody else did. I mean, it meant the world to me. That showed me the impact that we have as a retailer on a customer. So I'll never forget that one. We had another customer. Now I'm going to switch gears into the opposite route. We had a customer ask for a refund on tires because the tires he bought that were put on the car, his brother stole the car and ran off with his wife. And I was just like, what is going on here?
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. So he wants a refund.
I know my delivery on that was not great, but
so he wants a refund because someone stole the car.
His brother stole the car and took his wife with him. Like, they were cheating behind his back.
But wouldn't insurance cover a stolen car? Why would they come to you at that point?
I have no idea.
That is wild.
Yeah,
this
I couldn't
poor
believe
man.
it. Yeah.
So what did you do?
I was like, I don't know what you want me to do.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? I'm not going to give someone a refund when they're dealing with like that kind of, thing. Now, I'm going to go back to the emotional one to offset that.
Okay, please.
We had a customer, and if he's listening, he knows that, I really care about my customers. We had a customer that was going through a really tough time. His wife was dealing with medical issues. The medical issues and the medicine and the treatment just buried this guy in debt.
I bet.
He ordered the wrong tires, and he didn't have, we ship the tires for free. But if you order the wrong tire, we do ask that you pay for the return shipping.
Right.
Okay. The guy did not have the money to do it, and he was going through a lot of stuff. So he reached out. I read all the reviews that come in. I saw this story. The story was...
Wait, how do you read all the reviews? There's so many.
Yeah, I like to...
Like thousands upon thousands for tires.
Yeah,
I was looking it up.
Yeah. We have over like 20 or 30,000 reviews.
Yeah, how do you get any work done if you're just sitting there reading reviews all day?
Listen, when you're CEO of a company, you can never lose touch with the customer.
You're still not sleeping, are you?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't.
That explains it.
Yeah. I get up probably around like 5:30 every morning.
Okay.
So I'm reading the reviews, and I see this story, and I talk to this gentleman, and you can tell when someone is BS and someone's like for real. And the guy was not even asking for a break. Really wasn't. He was just saying, hey, can you extend, the return policy just a little bit longer till I catch up? Well, anyway, I saw it. And I reached out to him. I said, listen, we're going to take it back. Don't worry. Like, you're dealing with enough. The last thing you need to worry about is paying for return shipping when you got that going on. Right. But then I kind of like thought about it, and I was like, that's not good enough. I was like, this guy has like some real, shit going on. So I reached out to him. I was like, look, when you get new tires, you let me know. I'm also going to pay for your installation.
Wow.
Because the guy needed the car to take his, his wife back and forth from the doctor. And no matter how big you get, what you can never forget is you got to have a heart. So I hear crazy stories, and I hear like really heart-wrenching stories.
Yeah.
And everyone always says like, what's the craziest thing you hear, and they expect wild stories, and trust me, I got plenty. But the one thing I always try to remember is no matter how big we get, we can never be too big to listen.
I love that, man. That is, that's true to my core too, when it comes to talking to the clients and understanding what's going on.
Wait, that said, I did have someone propose to me.
Hey, wait, whoa. Okay, well, are we married?
No, not married yet.
Okay,
not yet.
So eligible, CEO,
not eligible,
prince.
not eligible. Taken.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that person the one who proposed?
No.
Okay. Just had to ask for the sake of asking. So tell us this proposal story.
Yeah. So I was helping this woman on the phone get tires, and my philosophy is you take your time.
And it's okay if it was a man,
No, not judging.
We're
not
okay
judging.
with that.
Yeah, totally. So she's, asking my opinion on tires, and I'm talking to her, and I'm taking my time with her. And then all of a sudden she gets like, kind of inappropriate on the phone. And I was like, okay.
She was just like, okay, Jared, I love that voice.
Yeah, like stuff like that. And it was like really awkward. And I'm
Please tell me this is recorded.
No.
Come on. I would be like, please send it to our engineers.
This is like way early on. And then all of a sudden she's like, would you ever marry me? And I was like, whoa. And then she put her mom on the phone and it was like a whole thing. And I was like, okay, so are you going to get these tires today? I'm just curious. And she ended up buying tires, by the way.
Okay.
She did. But we see some crazy stuff for sure.
Is this before or after you had social media? Like, was this girl looking up your photos?
No. I mean, look, my opinion is you always keep it professional, right? Even if somebody's acting crazy, whether they're yelling at you or they're flirting with you, you stay professional. And I was staying professional. And, look, some people have a little bit of a screw loose. And you just got to stay the course.
Maybe she was the one, Jared.
I don't think so.
She could have been.
That is a risk I was willing to take.
How did the mom sound?
Equally as crazy.
Equally as crazy?
Absolutely.
It was like, that. You could have my daughter. Go for it.
It was just weird. I mean, I don't remember exactly with her, but I do remember being proposed to, and I was just trying to keep it like as professional as possible. And the mom, I remember she said to the mom, she's like, come speak on the phone. And the mom was like trying to get on. I was like, okay, I think we should stay focused.
Fair enough. All right, so let's flip the script. I told you a little bit about myself offline. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I mean, when you look back on your journey, would you say that the experiences help mold who you are? Or do you think the ups and downs could have been avoided and you're like, okay, like I would have gotten here regardless?
Oh, that's a good question. I think every experience teaches us something. And when you're the type of person that understands like fail forward, right? And learn from those mistakes and everything, you always try to find the good or the silver lining in every experience, right?
Yep.
From learning how to order the right wine or the right apple juice, depending on what store that you're in, right? I think I'm one of those guys that has a elephant level memory, and I just remember like the smallest details. And what my grandfather once told me when I was really young was that you should know a handful of things about everything. And so when you do something, do a really deep dive into it and learn every single thing about it, you'll end up being the most interesting person in the room every time. So when it came to podcasting, I could operate every piece of machinery in the room. I could build the room myself. I know how to handle soundproofing. I know how to handle lighting. And now I can talk the talk no matter what part of life I'm in. And that expands into building websites, like, right? It's hard to talk to a web developer if you yourself don't know basic HTML or CSS. Yep. And then that's where you get taken advantage of, where these vendors and other people will be like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah, this is going to take us 100 hours instead of you knowing that it takes 2 hours to do it. So I'd say the journey of getting here was definitely something that shaped me into who I am today. And it's the roller coaster, right? Knowing what kind of man I was going to be at my lows and knowing what kind of man I'd be at my highs is what has kind of turned me into the person I am today.
That's incredible. And for people who don't know, this room is awesome. I am digging the color scheme, and I did not wear a brown jacket knowing that.
Yeah, well, it worked out. I'm really glad. And now we even do remote podcasts because we have the TV installed.
Oh, that's cool.
Because the idea of like a Zoom call, and like you looking like terrible, and
I have the best Zoom. I have the best Zoom story.
You do?
Yeah, 100%. All right, so it was during COVID, and I'm living in Manhattan in a studio, and I'm on a call with a really big company with executives, and in a studio in Manhattan, a lot of them have Murphy beds. You know what a Murphy bed is?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Like so turns into a cabinet and then it comes out.
Yeah. So it's like it's up on the wall and then you pull it down. All right. So I'm in this Zoom call.
I'm already afraid of where this story is going.
And I'm sitting at my desk, and behind me is my Murphy bed that's in the cabinet. The Murphy bed in the middle of the meeting just comes flying down into just flying fully down. And everyone's looking at me. They're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And I look and I'm like, holy crap, my bed just fell from the wall. It was so embarrassing because I didn't know back then that you can blur the background. I didn't know you could change, okay. I didn't know you could change the background scenery,
all right.
So people are just seeing like me living in a studio, which is nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But like when you're on a Zoom call, you want to be in a professional setting, right? So,
sure.
And it was just so embarrassing. Literally after that happened, I sold my apartment. I gave away a lot of what I owned at that time. And I packed whatever could fit in one suitcase, and I just left.
from embarrassment from that one Zoom call?
Well, I think it was like a sign for me that like I had been through a lot getting to where I was at Tire Agent, and I wanted to just find myself a little bit more.
Okay.
And I thought that was just like a sign that like, okay, I got to try something different. And so that's when I left New York for a while and, went to go spend some time with family. And, like a lot of people did, they left. Actually, looking back on it, one of the best experiences.
All right. I did mention I have an elephant memory. You didn't tell us what car you drove here.
I have a Lexus NX 300.
And what tires are on this car right now? Because it doesn't have to be the same tire year round, right?
Yeah. I have the Nexen and Blue all-weather tires on right now.
All-weather. So, which I've now learned, you don't have to change if you don't have to.
Yeah, well, I got them because I do a lot of driving in all over the country. And knowing that I was getting into the wintertime, I wanted to have an all-weather to withstand, the snow.
And so it's your own cars that you're driving road trips?
Yeah.
You don't like land somewhere, go inspect the rental car to make sure it has good tires, and then go on your way.
I like driving all over the country because I can make a lot of stops along the way, and I like just meeting people when I'm on my road trips, and I get to stop at really interesting towns and cities, and I get to meet a lot of whether it's suppliers, people who do work with, a whole bunch of different things. And I also just like to stop. I have a routine I do that people make fun of me for, but I like it. When I'm on these long road trips, like 10 hours at a time, I will stop at like an Olive Garden, sit at the bar by myself, have a soup and salad.
Just go nuts. Endless soup and salad.
Yeah, and I do it because I like the soup a lot and the breadsticks. But two, it's my way of just kind of decompressing. I'm sitting down, I'm thinking, I'm enjoying my junk food that I call it, right?
I mean, it's not even that bad for you.
No. Right. I mean, I like it. Or I'll also do Longhorn. I like Longhorn Steakhouse.
Okay.
Right. But I like sitting at the bar. I'm not drinking alcohol, but I'm sitting at the bar just, talking to people.
For sure.
Because if you think about our customers, right, it's typically our customer is just the hardworking average, American.
Yeah.
We sell obviously like Mercedes, BMW, and all those types of tires. And yeah, that's a good portion of our business. But you look at the typical person that owns a vehicle in this country and that buys tires, it's the average hardworking American.
Of course.
Right? Because to lease a vehicle, you got to have really good credit, and it's a privilege. And if you don't have really good credit, the lease amount it goes up, right? So it's a trade-off. So when I'm at these like stops, I literally just talk to people and just get to know them and see what they're doing and hear about their lives, and I love it. I love getting to know people, and I've met some incredible human beings.
Anyone you stay in touch with?
A few.
Okay.
A few. Yeah. I met some friends along the way for sure.
So I remember in school when you're trying to understand supply chain and everything that happens with like customer lifetime value, you find out about Michelin and the big story with like the Michelin Guide and Michelin stars and so on and so forth. And the whole story of Michelin had such a great tire that their customers just weren't coming back. Right. And they're like, we got to come up with a way for people to drive more. So they came out with this system of rating restaurants, and they would only do it like 50 to 100 miles outside of the places where their highest customer population was.
Yep, I've heard the story.
And so forcing people to like now drive 50 miles or 100 miles to go see this restaurant that they were saying is like the greatest food on planet Earth. And sure enough, their customer sales grew, right? Because now people were using the tires more often and everything that has to go with that. I guess the question is like, a customer of Tire Agent, do we know how often they come back? And is it tough being in an industry where it's like, I have to buy tires maybe once every 2 years, maybe once a year? I don't know.
Well, when you think about e-commerce, there's multiple ways you could sell products, right? You can sell by being the cheapest, but in which case you'll probably lose that customer to someone else who sells it the cheapest. You can offer great customer experience, which is memorable, or you can figure out another value prop outside of customer service, right? So there are three things. And that's excluding the whole marketplace model, right? Because marketplace model is designed to be around price.
Right.
So I can tell you right now for a fact, a very significant portion of our revenue comes from repeat purchases already. And we're only 5 years old. Wow. Like a significant portion.
But like maybe you're buying tires 3 times?
Well,
in that time frame of 5 years, like if you're a hardcore everyday driver and commuter and so on and so forth.
Well, there's a few different scenarios, right? So we get a lot of referrals. A lot of people are referring their spouses, their kids, right?
That makes sense, right? They love your experience.
So let's say the average household has 2 vehicles, right?
Oh, that's right. I didn't even think about that.
Right. They're probably buying every 2.5, 3 years. And that's not including if they have a business, like let's say they're a plumber, electrician, contractor, right? So you have the whole tradesman category.
Right.
And a lot of people around the country are tradesmen. Or
so they drive way more than we do. Because they're driving from house to house or project to project.
Or how about the fact that people had such a great experience for us that then they tell their bosses in their companies they work for and then order. We have seen that quite a bit.
Wow.
Where people have a great experience, they tell their bosses their company orders tires for their vehicles. So we get a lot of referrals and it's been really successful. And I think it just shows you how good customer service is as a referral engine.
That's amazing. All right. So for the people at home, I mean, I think I mentioned we have a very large subscriber base. What is the things that are the most important when buying a tire to consider?
How you're using your vehicle, right? Do you care more about you're driving a long time, so you care about mileage? Do you live in a place with a lot of potholes, so maybe you care about road hazard protection? Are you driving in the mountains, so you need an all-terrain or more aggressive?
Highway, daily commuter. I live in Jersey, so there's God knows how many potholes all the time.
Okay.
And I drive a hybrid. I don't know if that matters. Does it matter if
100%.
it's electric or full gas or whatever?
Yeah, it does. Because if it was just gas and you cared about gas efficiency, then you'd go for low rolling resistant tires.
I don't even know what that means, but okay.
Basically, it's the friction between the rubber and the road.
Okay.
Okay. So think of it this way. If you have a lot of friction, you're using more energy and more gas. If you have less friction, so forth.
Fair enough.
Okay. Hybrid vehicles are very heavy. So because they're heavy.
Because that battery is so heavy.
Yes.
And you have the engine.
Yeah. So you have to get a tire that is EV compatible for the weight capacity.
Full EV compatibility.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now, there are some that are designed for gas and battery. So therefore, like they have a higher load index, which means they can handle more weight. But you have to take that into consideration because if you don't, the vehicle will push down on the tire, compress the tread, and create a blowout or a bubble.
And does it matter whether it's all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, and so on and so forth?
I would say, well, if it's rear-wheel drive, there's a good chance it's a sports vehicle, in which case your handling is going to be a factor.
Right.
Okay. Same thing for four-wheel drive, depending on the vehicle.
Would you ever have different tires in the front and in the back?
No.
Okay. Always the same tire?
Always the same.
Okay.
Always the same.
That's good to know.
You got to make sure the treads match up because if they don't, you're going to have a whole bunch of other issues down the line of potentially happening.
All right. Well, let's say I'm being cheap and I only want to buy 2 tires. Do you recommend that? Running on 2 tires that are like close to being bald and then 2 new tires?
Well, let me ask you a different question. Do you want to spend money now or later?
Well, explain.
Well, because so here's how it works, right? If you are just mixing up the tires, if you're talking about all-wheel drive, specifically all-wheel drive, and you want to have different sets of tires, you may be doing the cheap way now, but then let's say down the road, it leads to problems with your vehicle. You're going to spend way more money later.
What kind of problems would happen in situations where you
it
don't
depends
take care
how
of your
you're
tires?
using it. I mean, you can get mechanical problems that occur.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, just because the tread designs are pulling in the different directions. Right?
The front treads and the back treads.
It could be. It could be based on the vehicle.
Interesting.
If let's say you have an asymmetrical versus a directional.
But even if you buy the exact same tire.
Oh, no, I mean, here's the thing. I don't tell people, hey, if you're replacing the exact same 2 tires for the tread, if the tread is still good, I really don't tell people to just swap out all 4.
Okay.
Because it depends. It depends also how worn out it is.
More important question. Every time you go to the dealer, they're like, your treads are at 3/10. Like you should change your tires. What is the right time to change your tires? When they're bald?
No. You got to do it before you're bald. You got to do it preemptively.
110, 210, 310?
It depends on the vehicle. I mean, 210, you're really down there.
Yeah.
I usually tell people, look at the tread, do the penny test. If you do the penny test, and for those of you who don't know it, Google it. I mean, it's out there.
You put a penny in the thread, right?
Yeah, you put the penny in the tread. If you can see the head, you're good. If you can't, sorry, other way around. If you can't see the head, you're good. If you can't see the head, you got to replace.
Okay.
And the image of it describes it better than I'm describing.
Yeah.
But basically, do the penny test. That's a really good way to know when you need new tires.
Okay.
In terms of replacing all four, I will usually recommend replacing all four if the treads are more towards the bald side than the full side.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, we're in trouble. I'm definitely at 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
On all four of my tires for sure.
Yeah.
All right, I need to get tires soon.
I'll hook it up.
All right, so when I go to tireagent.com, what would I type in my search? Like, how does it work?
So you could search. So you can search by size, and if you're going to do that, look at the sidewall of the tire.
Okay.
If you're not going to do that, then put in year, make, model, and trim. Make sure you got the right trim. A lot of people, they don't always know what a trim is. So I always tell people, if you don't know, look in your manual. And then when you get to the search results page, you'll see us categorize tires differently. So you'll see great warranty as an option, which tells you.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So we highlight all the tires that have the best mileage and road hazard protection. If you don't want to do that and you want to go best superior, so we also have superior rain and snow. That's your all weather.
Right.
And because there are people that are in heavy rain areas, right? Like Florida, heavy rain area.
I totally get it. And then there's people who live in a place like Jersey where you don't know if there's going to be a tornado or a snowstorm or rain, or is it sunny today? I don't even know what's going on.
It's beautiful.
In the weather. Yeah.
It's beautiful today. And then we also have where we outline all the tires that have deals from the manufacturer. Then we have ones called best value.
Wow.
So we categorize everything because I try to dumb it down for people, because most people, when you're talking about tires, they really don't know.
It makes sense, right? Everyone's got different fears,
Yeah.
and everyone's got different priorities when it comes.
And
to
we're rolling out a
decisions.
whole bunch of other categories, which are really like layman.
Like, I know if I was buying tires for my wife, I would only care about safety.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Like, what are the safest tires on the market for her car? Like, that's what I'm buying her. Nothing else.
So safety is like a generic term, right?
Oh, really?
So you got to like hone it in, and you got to say, okay, do I care about the quality of the compound?
Okay. What tires cause her car to brake the fastest if she's not paying attention to the road? And she needs to like urgently brake.
So then you go for performance.
Performance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because performance is meant for handling and
And
braking.
those are the most expensive tires.
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
So think of tires in tiers, right? You have tier 1, which are Michelin, Goodyear, Pirelli, Continental, so forth. Then you have tier 2, which is your Kumho, Hankook, Yokohama, Nexen, Falcon.
Is tier 2 better than tier 1?
It's not. So
These are just different buckets.
different buckets.
Okay.
Right. Tier 3 and 4. Now you get into like the budget and economy brands. I always tell people it's all about when you want to spend the money. Do you want to spend it now? Or do you want to spend it later? Right. So tier 2 is like a great compromise between quality and price. Tier 1, you're going to get the best quality. Now look, there are obviously sometimes where it's maybe a manufacturer doesn't make the best model.
Yeah.
Right. And so like you got to still like read and do reviews, but you're going to spend more, but you're going to get more. Right. And so it just depends on trade-offs. Tier 2s are a great compromise between everything.
Judge, you know what they don't teach you when you're growing up is like risk tolerance, right? This whole idea, do you pay now or do you pay later?
Mm-hmm.
They do a very terrible job of prepping us for risk analysis.
They do a bad job, not just on that. They do a bad job on not educating people on finances as a whole.
Right, of course.
Right.
But I mean, parenting usually solves that, right? And your parents obviously didn't give you an allowance and they made you earn money and everything.
Yeah, I think that's partially true, but I think part of it is we should be learning that. And not to like go around it, but think of it this way. Let's say obviously it's not the case, but let's say your parents didn't know about finances and therefore they didn't teach you about finances, and then you don't teach your kid about finance, right? It becomes like a waterfall.
Right.
I mean, I would love to see a world in which the education system teaches us about not just the stock market, but compound interest. That teaches us about how to save properly, how to invest for the future.
Bro, how to change a tire.
They
don't even teach you that.
Life essentials. That's right. That's right.
In high school, I mean, we had a shop class, so I know how to take bamboo sticks and popsicle sticks and make like a race car. But like, I don't know I do know how to change a tire, but they don't teach you any of that. They don't teach you how to change a flat, right?
No, they don't.
And
I've had the same discussion with people so many times. I mean, when you think about life necessities as a whole.
Before we jump into that, do you keep a full size spare, or do you have a regular, whatever they call this, a donut? What do you recommend for people?
So I don't really care about that. I think it's a trade-off on what you want.
Okay, so it's again, what's important to people.
Right. So let me give you the 2 examples. If you have run flat tires, chances are you don't have a donut.
Right.
Okay. But you traded that to have the ability to keep driving if you get a flat. Right. On the other hand, the other way, you have the donut, but you don't have the ability to keep driving if you get a sidewall flat. Right. And so, really funny story is I had an Infinity at one time, came with run flats. So I had no spare. and I took off all the run flats and I put on a really comfortable tires that were low noise because I did a lot of driving. And my parents said to me, they go, why would you do that when you don't have a spare? And I said, well, I can always get roadside assistance, right? Like it's a trade-off. I care about the noise volume because I'm driving a lot.
It makes sense.
And if I get a flat, what's my worst case? You know, you pull over, you get a tow truck to help you, or you get AAA or one of those things, right? Or Allstate roadside assistance. The thing is, in general, I don't panic, and I also, time is just a metric. Like I don't get stressed over time.
Sure.
Because to me, if I sacrifice an hour sitting on the side of the road, yeah, okay, I can't be doing something else, but is it really life-threatening to wait an hour, right?
Everyone's risk tolerance is so different.
Exactly. It's just a choice.
All right. How do people find you on the internet?
Me personally?
Yes.
LinkedIn.
I mean, you're doing podcasts for a reason.
Well,
right?
Okay, so I'm actually kind of not.
You're here right now.
Well, it's only because, so what I'm hoping to accomplish when I go on podcasts is not for my own personal gain.
There's no book that's coming out.
Zero.
The tire prints, real story.
No. I'm not even trying to promote my business. I'm really just trying to motivate people to be entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. My journey was incredibly difficult and I persevered. I mean, I almost lost my apartment. My bank threatened to put me into foreclosure. I lived off of crackers and jelly. Like I had a crazy story, right? And everyone who wants to be an entrepreneur, they always get scared. Fear is like a factor on why people don't start a business.
For sure.
I just want to show people it's possible. You know, I got nothing from my family. I got nothing from people without working my butt off for it. And if I can do it, everyone can do it. It's just a matter of your risk tolerance.
Yeah.
Right. And when I come on podcasts, it's not really for my own thing. I just want to help people. That's really it. Like I started posting on LinkedIn, like different things that I did for my business and how I got here. So there's complete transparency on like how I handle things. And if I can motivate people to do what I did or create their own journey, then I would say it's successful for me.
I love that, man. So LinkedIn, what is the link? Do you know it off the top of your head?
I don't, but it's my name.
Okay.
Just Jared Kugel. Pretty easy to find. I don't think too many people have my name.
Yeah,
so
fair enough.
I'd say just find me there and I'm happy to answer any questions or talk to people. I mean, I love helping.
I tell a lot of people at home, like if you're looking for a mentor and people who've actually done it and built companies that have made real money and have gotten like real milestones under their belt, come find us, right? We're happy to help anyone and everyone that needs that help. So, I mean, Jared, thanks for being on the podcast.
Dude, thanks for having me.
Out of all the podcasts that you've been on, what do we rate on a scale of 1 to 10?
This is up there for sure. I mean, I have to tell you, I love the vibe. I think you're a great guy. I think your story is incredible. And more importantly, I think you got a really good audience base that sounds like. So I'd say this is up there.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate having you here today. And guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks for having me.